Hello everybody and welcome to Obscurities and Miniatures. Today we have been digging through our WarCry box and we are going to go ahead and build the Untamed Beasts. Group B, in case you're not sure. So the Untamed Beasts are in fact one of the starter warbands included with WarCry, and they seem to all follow a similar pattern so far with the war bands that I've built. They all consist of about 3 of these half frames. They all have the 8 units. They all have either 32, 28, or 25 millimeter bases, depending on what kind of status they have within the warband. And interestingly enough, the Untamed Beasts have a big old lion. So just looking at the shapes of the sprues, none of this is push fit. None of these are, well, I guess they're all technically monopose, but they're all regular, good old-fashioned build them yourself hobby kits. You are going to have to glue these. There's nothing that's just going to snap together and be done. They don't have any kind of special bases like the Warhammer Underworlds figures do, so if you want some kind of fancy base, you're on your own with that as well. But just taking a quick look at the models themselves, they look pretty nice and beefy. I don't see lots of tiny little parts. After all, we're not building Necromunda figures, we're building WarCry. And that is a big honkin' sword. That is literally bigger than his body. So these guys were right up my alley with all their bone weapons. They don't even bother with the metal stuff. It's like playing, you know, hardcore Monster Hunter basically. So I am eager to build these, and we are going to get started in just one moment. Alright, so here we have the leader of the Untamed Beasts, the Heart Eater. And he's going to be a pretty simple build. He's basically just the 2 halves of the body, like so. The cloak, the upside down head, and finally a quite nasty looking punch dagger. I'm going to get these cleaned up, let's get them put together, and then it is off to build the first fang. Here's the Heart Eater all done and in the most Chaos Maraudery pose that a Chaos Marauder could possibly be if he wasn't He-Man. Look at this, he's just screaming, "I have the power!" Fabulous. That's a really nice looking model. I mean, he's just cool. I had my way, he's just going to end up in some other warband in some other game where you can pick and choose him. I mean, he's obviously going to be imposing as he eats the heart of our poor witch hunter friend here, and even our Dark Oath barbarian or whatever they're called, tribesman, he's kind of dwarfed by the Heart Eater here, and the Heart Eater's on the 32 millimeter base, sadly. I wish he was a little bit bigger. He is not ogre size like some of the dudes from the Iron Golems. But anyway, let's move on to the first Fang, who's almost as cool, if not possibly cooler. Here we see all the parts for the first Fang. We've got the body itself with a crazy piece. Be careful taking that off. That's the rope for his harpoon and a trophy rack on his back that would make any beastman jealous. Look at those horns. He's a tough looking dude. Weapons of choice, a big nasty barbed harpoon and a big honkin' jaw blade bone thing that is almost as tall as he is. And then we have a head. I don't know if I can get a nice picture of the head, but he's basically wearing somebody's skull, naturally. So put him together, and we're going to look at the Beastspeaker. Here is the first Fang all finished, and I like him almost as much as our Heart Eater here. Very cool looking weapons. I had a bit of a hard time trying to get his arm lined up for the harpoon. Actually, both arms were not the most cooperative. Everything else was pretty smooth going in. But I think the arms are okay. They look okay. They look like they're in the right spots, so hopefully they are. He's a big model. First time I saw him, I thought he was going to be on a 40 millimeter base. But nope, he's on a 38. They're both wearing shoes, too. I was kind of surprised about that. You'd think for as savage as they are, they'd be running around barefoot, but I guess not. Anyways, time to move on to the Beastspeaker, who's going to hang out with the big lion. Right, here are the parts for the Beastspeaker. Our Beastspeaker friend, I forgot to trim that off, but that's okay. Has a big, easy looking to break whip, but they do have this kind of nice little rocky outcropping to help keep them firmly attached to the ground, along with their other leg with the tail. their jumping leg, their dashing dagger, and then their head is actually a two-part piece because they're wearing the skull. So you got to be careful with those. So you can see her face, and then the skull is going to sit on top, but I can't do that with my big old potato fingers, so sorry. She also goes on the 32mm base, and she is going to be speaking with the Rocktusk Prowler here, who's basically two halves, the head, the tongue, and then the front paws right there that are sort of kind of on the screen. Anyway, our Rocktusk Prowler friend here is actually going to go on a 40mm base. That's not in the bag with all of the bases in it. It's floating loose in the box underneath all the inserts, so keep an eye out for it. It's one of the few 40mm bases in there. Time to build them, though. Beastspeaker is done. Rocktusk Prowler is done. Whoa, he's still kind of wet. Went ahead and glued him to the base, which is not my usual modus operandi, but figured what the hey, it doesn't look like it's going to be that hard to get under there. I do need to clean it up a bit. You can see all the glue on my fingers, sorry. Trying to get her posed on her base was a challenge, and probably painting her face is going to be just as frustrating, but overall it's a cool little model. I don't know, I find the cat kind of quaint. I'm used to bigger cats hanging around. I don't know, that's a little too big, and with the new Giga Lion coming out, might have to substitute that in for some kind of a boss fight. Anyway, that is our Rocktusk Prowler and the Beastspeaker, and now it is time to move on to the Prey Takers. Here are the Prey Takers, and I went ahead and did a little bit of building. They weren't super complicated. There are about 3 or 4 parts here: the head, the front and the back of the body, and the legs. And the reason I put them both somewhat together is because I wanted to focus on, they both have variant builds. So our one on the left has a choice between a fanged or sawtooth blade and a fanged axe. I'm not sure if there's any actual in-game rules because I haven't bothered to open the cards yet, but he does have a choice. More than likely I'm going to go with the big sword. And then the other Prey Taker, he has a choice of axes. There is nothing really different rule-wise. They're both sawtooth axes, I believe, or something along those lines. Fanged axe, sorry, but they're just cosmetically different. So whichever one you like, I'm not sure which I'm going for yet. But those are the Prey Takers. They're on the 28mm base because we need those new base sizes. And last but not least, we are going to do the Plains Runners, and we'll show them off real fast here. So let's get them going. All 3 Plains Takers, Plains Runners, I don't know, Plain Takers. Plains Runners are in front of us. All the Plain Runners consist of the legs, in one case we have both halves of the torso, then a head attached to one of the limbs, and then the spare limb to go along with it. Now these guys are like the cheap grunts of the Untamed Beasts, and they also have 3 rather generic nondescript knives that you're going to glue on their backs of their belts. So we're going to get them put together, and we'll take a look at the whole warband then. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the class of 2019's Untamed Beasts. We have everybody all finished up in front of us, although they do need a little bit of work still on getting cleaned up. Very dynamic looking group, and I was thinking to myself, I made an interesting discovery. Obviously we want to throw our Dark Oath warrior in there just so you can get a good sense of scale. Throw our witch hunter friend in there, you can get a good idea of how big these guys are. I'm sure if you're interested in just getting individual figures, and they'll be out on third-party outlets where you always tend to look, like eBay. But what if you don't want to go towards, you know, paying outrageous prices for these models? I made an interesting discovery that figures from Cool Mini's Hate line are just about the right size and scale and look if you wanted to add a little bit of pizzazz to your Chaos warbands for WarCry, or if you have friends that already have the game. And I mean, you have already a full warband in Hate in each of the Triad boxes, so I don't know, somebody more industrious than me might want to go and come up with rules for the various tribes for Hate. That might be kind of interesting. Obviously, some models might not work as well as others, but I definitely think there is a lot of room for growth with this game, and I'm really liking what we've seen so far. And I'm hoping at some point, since there's going to be a need for bit more troop variety, we see maybe some kind of, I don't know, booster packs or something, since the only way to get the Untamed Beast so far is with the actual game, and considering the small sprue size, maybe they might make some kind of expansions later on, because it would be nice to have certain extra models of certain types of roles within the warband, but I'm just rambling at this point. Anyway, check them out. So far, I know they're only available in the WarCry starter, but I'm sure somebody out there is going to be parting it out, so you might be able to get it if you're more interested in that. And I mean, they make really awesome looking Chaos Marauders, Chaos Warriors of any size, shape, style, breed, brand, company, wargame, whatever. Definitely big thumbs up for me. With that said, this is High Lord Tamerlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, and we will see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.